This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. For the first time in 2021, I am delighted to be joined by Mauricio Sulaiman, president of the WBC. Mauricio, Happy New Year. Nice to see you, my friend.
Nice to see you, my dear Rob. Happy New Year. And I know this is going to be an unbelievable journey. 2021, the WBC has named it the Year of Boxing. And we're going to celebrate life through boxing and the many great moments that in the past, those great anniversaries that we have to celebrate and appreciate because boxing is a great sport.
Well, I'm glad that you've said that, Mauricio. I don't know if the UK got the memo because we've had all of our boxing cancelled for January. We're unfortunately in another lockdown.
Well, that's very unfortunate. It is a situation that will continue to carry on in different regions of the world. And we just have to understand and have patience and collaborate and things will change. We will move forward. We already had a good step forward. Now it's a challenging time, and I'm very sorry for those countries that are going through a difficult time again. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm very positive, and we'll continue to move on.
Well, yeah, there's not really much that we can do apart from be positive. So that's what we shall do. But before we talk about 2021, let's talk about the way 2020 ended up. Namely, on December the 19th, Canelo Alvarez added the WBC super middleweight world title to his growing collection of world title belts. Great performance by Canelo Alvarez in San Antonio.
Yes, that was an unbelievable way of finishing the year. It was a highly anticipated bout. Callum Smith, a very good fighter, solid, strong. The high difference made it dramatic from the press conference, the weigh-in, and then before the fight began, the high difference was dramatic, the two bodies. And just Canelo was masterful. He did such an unbelievable performance. He had a great training. He had a strategy. He had a good plan, and he performed it to the book. I give a lot of credit to his corner, Eddie Reynoso, and I praise Callum Smith being so courageous, never gave up, and made boxing proud because that was a brilliant fight. And unfortunately, Callum lost, but he will be back. He's a fighter of the elite level, and he lost to the best in the world.
Now, I haven't spoken to you since the WBC title was actually put on the line for the fight. I think it's been a while since we've caught up. Crying shame, as I'm sure you'll agree. But Callum Smith and Canelo Alvarez, Canelo was obviously, or is the WBC franchise champion. He was elevated at middleweight. Just clear something up for me. We'll discuss the lightweight scene as we progress through the interview. Canelo is still a franchise champion regardless of weight. That's correct?
That's correct. That is a designation that one of the key elements of the franchise. It means that you can move up and down in weight at any given time. It gives you that leverage, that flexibility, not to be locked down into one weight category and having mandatories to comply. Being the franchise, you can move up and down and fight the best fights available.
We've seen in recent weeks, Canelo has vacated what was his only world title down at middleweight, which was the WBA title. That kind of clears any confusion now from the 160-pound division with Charlo as a WBC champion, correct?
Yes. Charlo is and has been the WBC champion since the designation 2 years ago of Canelo, and now Canelo is the super middleweight champion, and he is going to fight the mandatory defense against Avni Yildirim, and he wishes to unify the whole 168, and it should be very interesting.
You mentioned that fight there, Mauricio. Let's just pick up on that. Canelo Alvarez and Avni Yildirim. Avni Yildirim has been around the WBC super middleweight picture for a while, going back to his fight with Darrell. Have you had any indication? I know February the 27th was the original mooted point for that. Have you had any indication from Team Canelo?
Yes. Everything is moving forward. It seems that February 27 will be the date for the fight, and I spoke to Gilderim yesterday, and he's got all the paperwork, the visa, and he's in training camp, and he's ready for whenever the fight is finalized. And I believe this is a great way to start the year.
It certainly would be. Just kind of to expand on the rumors around, well, not the rumors, expand around Canelo versus Yildirim. There's a lot of talk of that fight going to Mexico, obviously where you are from, where Canelo Alvarez is from. Just what would that mean to Mexican boxing to welcome Canelo Alvarez home?
Well, that would be a tremendous boost to the mental health, to the esteem for a whole country. Mexico is going through a very difficult time due to the COVID-19 pandemic, both in the health situation as well as the economics. It has hit, as any other country, very hard. And you know, when you have a positive mindset, when you have something to look for, when you have a motivation, everything changes. And that's what sports do. When you have a football team that you follow and they're playing, that changes your whole week. You're looking forward to that moment. So you work hard, and the sport world is such a compliment to the human, most humans in the world, and boxing is what they can do. We can touch a city, a state, a country, and a world.
We've spoken on numerous occasions over the years about kind of the rich history and the rich tradition of Mexican boxing, and, you know, Mexican greats as in Eric Morales, Barrera, Chavez, Marquez. Now Canelo is a 4-weight world champion. Where does he stack up at the minute with those Mexican legends, and how big was that win against Callum Smith for him?
That was a huge win. That made a statement. Now he's a 3-time WBC champion in 3 weight categories: super welterweight, middleweight, super middleweight. He joins an elite list of fighters who have won WBC titles in 3 weight categories. And, you know, he continues to build his own story that will be written with golden letters in the books of history. When he retires, that's when we're going to be able to position him. You know, lists are very complicated. To compare eras is difficult when to compare fighter to fighter. But without a doubt, Canelo is one of the best ever from Mexico.
And just before we move on to 2021, just a couple of quick things that are lingering from 2020. One of them being Nordin Ubali versus Nonito Donaire. Now, we saw COVID here, COVID there, replacements, new replacements, and the fight has changed. What's the latest with Nordin Ubali and Nonito Donaire?
Oh my God, that was something. We were all looking forward. That fight was set for May last year, but it had to be canceled due to the pandemic. Then when it was confirmed for December, Ubali tested positive for COVID-19. So we go through a very complicated process to place him as champion in recess, because you don't know, with COVID, you can be asymptomatic, or it can really hit you and have effects in your body. So the first is the priority is to check on the health of the fighters, how their body is after the COVID-19. So what happened, we allowed and then before 7 days before the fight, Donaire tested positive. So the WBC, in order to save the television date for the promoter, to save the activity, and to support, as we have been consistent in every single case, we are administering with full consideration to all the elements in support of the sport. We allowed an interim championship. And I'm so sorry, I cannot remember the name of the Filipino.
Raymart.
Raymart. He won on a split decision, controversial. We have received multiple letters to review such a decision. So at this moment, Raymart is the interim champion. Ubali is the champion. He has petitioned to defend his title in February so he can get back in the ring before doing a major fight, which has been approved. And we are addressing the Raymart situation with Rodriguez, and Nonito Donaire is also the mandatory. He keeps his rights as mandatory contender. So we're starting the year. We're going to administer this division with these facts, and we'll have a ruling in short terms.
Okay, yeah. So I would imagine as well, Nonito Donaire will probably have a fight in between as well, even though he's mandatory.
That's a possibility. And we also have a situation that when we named Donaire mandatory last year during the convention, Noparat from Thailand, he also was appointed the mandatory for 2021. So that's another element that we're gonna have to administer and try to make justice for everyone. But these are the things that there are so many elements that we cannot control, and this has been happening. So we will make the best out of it.
That's just what I was going to say there, Mauricio. It's just a sign of the times, really. It's indicative that you've had two fighters in the same fight have to pull out for different reasons. Now you've got interim titles, champions in recess, champions who are back. So it's very much a sign of the time and the evolving state of the world.
Yes, and you have to administer. You have to take the bull by the horns and take decisions. What is the most important thing right now? Boxing, to keep our sport active. One card provides activity to 20 fighters, 10 fights, 20 fighters. That is 20 fighters, that is 20 trainers, that is maybe 50 sparring partners, cutmen, boxing commissions, all those indirect benefits that go along with one boxing event. One of the most important things is that we need to support the boxing activity. I am very concerned, the WBC is very concerned about this generation of boxers because if you are Canelo Alvarez, if you are Teofimo Lopez, if you are Tyson Fury, you don't have a problem. You are the world champion. You can schedule a fight even without fans. And there's a big platform and you will be fighting. And if you don't fight in 1 year, nothing really happens. But what happens to the 4-round boxers, the 6-rounders? The gymnasiums are closed. What happens to those small club fights that lead to have those future champions? That's the biggest concern, and that's what we must address. We're putting together a committee to promote small shows worldwide, to talk to networks, to promoters. The promoters, the big promoters have to support so that this generation of fighters go on. If you have 6 months, 8 months, a year without income, then you have to move on and look for something else. And it is a very delicate time, and everyone who is in the boxing industry must look into that factor because we need the activity to continue, especially for those small shows, small upcoming fighters.
Yeah, it's well said. It's something that we've spoken about at the start of the pandemic, and I know that it was something that you had been working on in the background. So if there are any fighters, small hall fighters, promoters watching this interview, hopefully it won't be too much longer. Do hang in there and we will see what happens in 2021. Right, 2021, the start of 2021. Had a pretty good fight, Mauricio. Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia for the WBC interim lightweight title. Going into the fight, a lot of the talk was how good is Ryan Garcia? We're going to find out, and we did find out.
Wow, that was a statement. What a tremendous fight. What a tremendous event. That's a great way to kick off a year. And Luke Campbell put Garcia down and very much hurt in the second round. And it looked like he was going to finish it up. And all credit to Ryan Garcia for going back going back to basics and being calm. And also tremendous corner kid. And just Luke Campbell, very brave. He got hit with a punch that no human being can resist. You could see the drama of him trying to get up. It's so dramatic. Those moments really show what boxing is all about. When you get hit in the liver, you get paralyzed, you cannot move. And he tried his best, and he's such a great asset to the sport. I feel for Luke. I'm very proud of him. And he was right there, and he still has a future. He's fought against the best of the best, and this puts Ryan Garcia in the major leagues. Without a doubt, that win against Luke Campbell positions him for great things in the boxing world.
Now, inevitably in boxing, as soon as the final bell went, everybody was talking about the next fight. We saw Devin Haney in the arena. We've heard Gervonta Davis's name mentioned as a potential future opponent for Ryan Garcia. I've seen that you've come out and said that the WBC will be ordering Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. Is that still the plan?
Yes, that has been clear for so long. We have been very consistent and very open. We have made many discussions in this division because of the franchise and this and that and all the things. And what we have been saying all along, this has been a great tournament. It began with many fights that had to be ordered when Mikey Garcia left the division, many eliminations, and then interim titles, and then world titles, Lomachenko coming in. But the reality is that with the franchise designation, we were able to see Lomachenko against Teofimo Lopez, which has a great fight. Then we saw Haney with Gamboa, and then we saw Luke Campbell with Garcia. And it has been clear that that winner is mandatory, as well as Fortuna. Fortuna is the other mandatory of the division. So this, without a doubt, is the most challenging, entertaining division of them all. You have Teofimo Lopez, you have Devin Haney, you have Ryan Garcia, you have Linares, you have Gervonta Davis, you have Fortuna, Luke Campbell, Lomachenko. So many great fights that will be happening in the near future, and we have to be very excited about it.
Just going back to what you said there, I mean, you mentioned about Mikey Garcia. We've been talking about the lightweight division now for a number of years, and it's only starting to get to the point now where there is certainly an opportunity for some of the clarity to start to come, some of the smoke to clear, the dust to settle, whatever you want to call it. Ryan Garcia is the interim champion. Devin Haney is a full champion. You mentioned Javier Fortuna being the mandatory. Where does that fit in alongside the interim champion? Who has the rights to the next fight with Devin Haney?
That's that's a thing that we've been managing because Fortuna was going to fight Linares before Ryan Garcia-Campbell. So that was in order the first fight who had to take place against Haney. But Linares had COVID-19. Fortuna did a 2-0 final elimination, and he has been there. But the way it was structured in the convention was that the winner of Luke Campbell and Garcia, because originally Luke Campbell was going to fight for the world title because Devin Haney had an injury. So it's a situation that there have been many elements that we are able to administer to get to this point. So the next fight should be Garcia-Haney.
If the next fight is Garcia versus Haney, because of the interim title, would that come down to a mandatory split, or would there be a difference? Would it be different to a mandatory split?
The rules of a split are looked whenever the fight is ordered, and both sides come with the justification, and then the WBC assesses the split of each particular fight.
So it wouldn't be kind of held at the same as it would just for a straight mandatory. There would be some negotiation, as it were.
Right. An interim champion has rights also. So There's the champion against the interim champion. It's a different split scenario.
So where would Javier Fortuna go? So Javier Fortuna would be mandatory, but he's, as I understand it, trying to work this out as we go, he's mandatory, but he's not next in line. The next in line would be the interim champion, Ryan Garcia. If Ryan Garcia, as he's been telling everybody, goes to box Gervonta Davis, I would assume then the WBC would call the mandatory and Javier Fortuna.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, Fortuna is one of the mandators of the division.
Okay. You know where I'm going to go next? Who is the WBC champion, Mauricio?
The WBC champion is Rob Tebbutt.
I don't have a belt. I talk to you all the time. I can't believe I don't have a belt yet. WBC champion. Who is the WBC champion currently, Mauricio?
We have 17 world champs, 17 divisions.
At lightweight.
Or lightweight. Well, you want
I just asked a question.
It's very simple. Lopez, the WBC fight champion. Devin Haney is the WBC champion, and Ryan Garcia is the interim champion. That's the structure. If you look at every single division, you will see that this is a unique situation, unique case. And we have one interim champion in the heavyweight for a long situation that we're all aware of. And we have a bantamweight interim champion because of what I have just described. Yeah. But that's it. These are out of the circumstances. These are unique situations.
So Teofimo Lopez is the franchise champion. Devin Haney is the WBC champion. Is Teofimo Lopez undisputed?
Absolutely, yes.
What about Devin Haney?
Devin Haney is the WBC champion.
That's a dispute.
Dispute by you?
But by Devin Haney. I'm quite sure Devin Haney would dispute it.
What?
That Teofimo Lopez is undisputed champion.
Rob, I don't care about that. I don't care to go into he says, who says, undisputed, not undisputed. I care about the great fights happening in the ring. And these decisions by the WBC, this franchise designation, has been able and has proved to make up of great opportunities for a variety of champions. And now we can enjoy a variety of great matches that can be happening in the near future. So if people are going to blame me or crucify me for the franchise and try to make put asterisk or whatever on the record books, it's okay. But I care for what is happening in the ring and the many emotions that are happening from those fights that are happening in the ring.
Sure. And again, we've touched upon it on several instances in the past. The reason why I bring it up is, of course, the WBC champion being Devin Haney has come out and spoken about it recently. But you have no concern over the fact that he is a WBC champion and you're happy to call Teofimo Lopez an undisputed champion.
I have no issue. We have been very clear about this with every party, with every fighter. And if they want to ignore that the WBC recognizes a franchise champion, then that's their problem. Whoever, whether it's a fan, a media, or a boxer, a trainer, a promoter, if they want to ignore that and want to remain in the classics, in the dark ages, we are the sport, we are the organization to revolutionize the sport, to bring it up to the new era, to the current times. Every sport evolves. You need new rules, you need new procedures, you need new concepts. In American football, NFL, they used to have only 16 teams or 12 teams. Now they have 32. Is that bad for the sport? No, it's great. They just changed the playoff concept, the playoff structure. It's great, it's more games, it's more fun, it's more opportunities. So we decided to create the franchise designation for those fighters who can move the industry those fighters who prove in the ring that are top of the top of the top. And I stand strong and proud about the franchise situation. And eventually, in the years to come, it will prove it's already proving that it has benefits for the sport.
But you have no concerns over a potential devaluing of the WBC title by having a franchise champion in the same division?
No, it's not a devaluating. It's all to the contrary. It's moving up the scale on everything. Devin Haney is a tremendous fighter. I'm very proud of him. I'm very close to him. And the WBC has been supporting Devin Haney even before he turned professional. I met him when he was an amateur. I shook hands with him when he was an amateur. And we vowed to support him. And he has been a WBC youth champion, an NABF champion, international champion. He has gone through all the process. And when there was nothing out, the final elimination put the interim championship, put the championship to him. And through the WBC, he has been able to make millions of dollars. So if you call that a problem, if you call that doing a disservice to the sport, when the fighter is making millions of dollars when he steps in the ring, it's okay. If we're going to get blamed for that, I take it. But I'm proud of it. I'm happy.
I think it's more so to kind of identify the number one in the division. I think is important. I think that kind of is where a lot of the discussion around the franchise title, around the
what is important for the fighters is making the money when they go into the ring, being able to provide to their families, and being able to do different things and get sponsorships and get social media. So I'm very happy with this concept, and I see it matter.
Have you had any indication from Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia as to whether that fight is indeed next for either guy? Obviously, we've heard Ryan Garcia talking about Gervonta Davis. Devin Haney says he wants to fight Ryan Garcia next. Have you heard anything from either camp?
No, you know, when a fight happens, we give the fighter 3-4 days, 1 week to relax, to celebrate. We don't just jump on him and say blah 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 blah. We are allowing him this week to settle down. It was a very complicated fight. He was knocked down for the first time. He was on the verge of losing, and he came victorious. So we're gonna start communications next Monday with the camps.
Okay, Mauricio. Well, before I let you go, let's touch upon one of the big talking points from last year, which was, of course, the WBC heavyweight title picture with the mandatory challenge. You mentioned earlier on the interim champion at heavyweight, Alexander Povetkin, of course, was struck down with COVID-19 at the back end of 2020. Have you heard anything from Team Povetkin? Is he well?
I have not heard anything back from Povetkin. I just sent them coincidentally a letter yesterday, for the new year, wishing him well and to see how he's doing regarding the health and the situation with COVID-19. But I have not heard anything yet.
How does that affect the fact that he's kind of sidelined and we don't really know as and when he's going to return to the ring or who against? How does that change the WBC heavyweight mandatory position, if at all?
Not really. There is no mandatory at this time in the heavyweight division, and we have been waiting for the Tyson Fury Wilder resolution that is in mediation. We don't know how that stands right now, but we're going to start administering on Monday. Every division, we're going to start communicating with all the parties to see where everything stands.
Okay, well, we look forward to hearing from it. Mauricio, I'm going to let you go now because I know you've got to go on your jet ski behind you. So I'll leave you to that. It looks like you're going to be having a lot more fun than I am here in lockdown. Always a pleasure catching up with you. I'm glad you had a good break. And thanks very much, as always, for speaking to Boxing Social.
Boxing Social, I wish you the best. Let's have a great year, my dear Rob. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the near future. And stay safe, stay home, and this will pass.
Hopefully see you soon, Mauricio. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Take care.